All right, everybody. Do a little video here. If you already done heard that last snippet that is uploading currently. Now then, I wanted to basically have a discussion on the biggest crisis within humanity. What we have dealt with, we've allowed our society become way too lazy, way too lazy over the years. This is going back even before the 20th century, the 21st century, and before the year, even before the year 2000. We in things that allowed us that made us become so lazy is these things are hyping us on entertainment. All of this shit is happening. I'm still seeing people all hyped for the PlayStation 5. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, just seeing that, I'm just like, just no. And I was a big fan of the PlayStation, but I got rid of mine because of, obvious bullshit. And because this is not the time for that, I mean, sure, I'll play a few video games here and there just to basically pass the time, but I still keep the main, the main focused. I don't dawdle on other things. And you see, we're still dealing with this now. You've got people committing murders and riots and shit like that, man. And we have peaceful protests out there, but the enemy is sending these controlled oppositions in to infiltrate their ranks to basically commit these atrocities. These controlled opposition, dude, they are killing people out there, man. They are committing murders. They don't give a fuck. They do not care. They literally, man, half the videos I've seen, they literally gunned down this old man in front of his pawn shop for TVs. You think that's worse? I ended up watching a video, and this is going on currently this year, of a man trying to defend off his sword and trying to defend his wife. His wife is outside trying to reason with these looters. You want to know what they do? They tug on her, they push her, they punch her, they grab 2x4s, they beat her. He's going outside trying to basically save his wife. And TIs, the people who we deal with, they don't care. The people who we are basically being stalked by, they don't care. They don't care about their own. You gotta really think outside the box on this. Someone who would generally give a fuck about their family, why would they basically be involved in a corruptive organization that if there's the slightest chance being caught at all, your ass is gonna be in prison. Now, they have a lot of shit for controlled opposition, and I found out why they go so far as the lengths as to basically get these motherfuckers out of prison is because they know too fucking much. So you gotta really start asking yourself outside of the box. If they're willing to go that far to prevent these assholes from talking, right? Don't you think that they would not submit, like once they have the power they need, they would not submit them under the shit that they were trying to submit everybody else to, because they can't let those people out like that, man. They think about it. They know too much. They target people who know too much. This has been a common trend for years. So really think outside the box, man. Do they really think that they're not going to be susceptible to that? Because I think they will. But I don't believe this shit is going to pass through. I don't believe this agenda is going to succeed, because there's too much information being exposed. There's too much going out there. And I highly advise people, get yourself some equipment to keep communication going. I'm talking about different information, different equipment to remain in contact. I'm not talking about cell phones. I'm not talking about computers. I'm talking about like something as far as CV radios, walkie-talkies, shit like that. Get off. You continue to use the grid as being controlled for now to keep pushing out the truth. Continue to make platforms for truth. Definitely keep doing that. But you're going to have to basically get other means of communication besides a cell phone, besides a computer, besides any of that stuff, you see? They pushed us away from the old traditional ways of how we communicated for a reason. It's because they didn't want people to basically be able to have contact without them being able to keep an eye on it. You see, you notice how, like, out of all my videos, I kept telling you all I'm going to go off grid, but I never said where I'm going off grid? I tell you why. Simple. YouTube is one of the enemy platforms. What I mean by the enemy platforms is because YouTube is owned by Google. You see, they'll allow certain information to be passed through, but they won't allow all information to pass through. I'm not even ashamed to even say this either, because they know that they are part of the problem. I may still use their platform, but as you see, I've switched over to BitChute. I don't even use Facebook because little do you know, Facebook technically has been caught illegally gathering data about people even without them having their platform installed on their phone. But little did you know, they literally put fucking Facebook on your phone as you purchase it. The only way to get it the fuck off is to do a root and an uninstallation on your phone. You gotta have a computer to do that with too. You gotta have a computer to do that with. But think about it though, like really not from the controlled opposition's perspective, but think, or I guess it is from their perspective. Think about like how desperate these people are to do this kind of shit, right? And think how easy it is for them to just, when they do this stuff, like really, really think outside the box on this. They're so desperate that they would work and destroy another person's life, and that they're told that they can just get away with it scot-free. I ain't no saint, but I've never gone out on my way to really jeopardize some people. I mean, even when I was working in my old job, I may have said a few things, but I never actually really acted on them until certain things got too serious to where something had to be mentioned. Unless things had gotten real serious, then there was really no need. Some things get said out of anger, and that's about it. So it's maybe some people take the shit out the wrong way, you know? You never know. However, one thing needs to be affirmed. People just have we are dealing with a set of people who are just sick and twisted, who are just comfortable, who want to just see people suffer, who just want people to see people just literally be in the most biggest parts of just helplessness imaginable. It's like they're addicted to see suffering within people. They're addicted to keep tuning into that shit. And if at all possible, they're addicted to commit. We're dealing with people who are very, very narcissistic, very unapologetic, and who just do not care. They do not care, but let me tell you something. When dealing with someone like that, I'm not trying to be cruel, but if you ever go off grid, you gotta understand you cannot trust a person like that. Even without the nanotech influencing them, you cannot trust a person like that. You can't. And for good reason too. A person like that is very deceitful. A person like that will only have no empathy and only say things basically to have a specific gain in mind, to basically achieve just about anything that they're seeking to get. If they're in a part of danger, they'll do whatever they possibly can to get out of that danger. They'll apologize. They'll say they're sorry, but they're really not. There's no sincerity behind it. There is nothing behind any of that. And these are the types of individuals we are dealing with today. When it comes to these people going around shooting people up, when it goes to these people around just hurting people, beating people up for no apparent reason, when we got these cops just tasing people for no actual probable cause whatsoever, just stopping people. Now, they're not gonna do this to me. They probably, I don't know, maybe they will, but I guarantee you they probably most likely won't. Pretty much due to the fact that I could easily twist the situation up and get evidence as I'm doing it. Never, and I repeat, never talk to a police officer unless you have video footage with yourself. When you walk out, always have an audio recorder on hand. Always have that. Let me tell you something. They went as far as to steal my audio recorder. You think that shit didn't have incriminating evidence on them? It did. That's the whole point of why they got rid of it. Because they're that afraid. They don't want people to have months and months and months and months of evidence of this happening, of the same people involved. And sometimes they really do this shit in shits. But you see, this is why, TIs, this is my message to you as well. In order for us to, if you want this shit to stop, if you want to put a stop to this, this is all what you need to do. You need to find the TIs who are in your area. And this will stop this bullshit, I guarantee you. Not only will it have to stop, but it'll force them in a position where they have no choice but to stop. You need to find as many TIs within your area, gather up some surveillance equipment, and literally survey them as they've been surveying you. Have everybody out in teams to basically follow these motherfuckers, right? Have them follow until they go to, because they're gonna have to go to the agent. They're gonna have to. Now they may try to pull a situation to where like the person is like saying, well, like this person's following me. It's quite simple. All of what you got to do, you just got to basically announce that, well, the person that which we're protecting, we're technically protecting a fellow citizen because there is an illegal operation to stalk this individual that is happening, and we're basically are aiding our fellow citizen by exposing the corruption which is happening. The person who's being targeted by this corruptive organization has plenty of evidence that which he can show you to prove their case. And you see, that's just the thing. I remember a TI said that he went out about it alone to follow that person who was stalking him. What happened? The perp called the police. You see what they do? They try to initiate a situation for you to follow them so they can basically come up with a bald-faced lie. You can't do that shit unless you have enough evidence of you being followed around, enough evidence of this stuff showing up. This is why I am asking TIs, start migrating your evidence, your content, do whatever you can. I've showed a device on the Gaia channel. It's basically a USB stick that can plug right up to your phone. You got the app to where it can basically record the screen, so you can record the date, the time, or whatever, which is why it's always important for you to basically state what time it is. But I guess the screen recorder, if you see, this is why I do most of my videos with a screen recorder. You want to know why the perps don't want me doing that? Because the time and date gets locked down for every time I do a video. So it's very beneficial to me. You always see that time. You always see that time. Just like you're gonna see it now when I post this one. You'll always get the time and date because of that. And you see, that it's because of that helps so much. But that's basically, if you want this to stop directly, we're gonna have to collaborate together. We're gonna have to come together and do that. I'm talking about find TIs who was in your city. Do it in one of the best ways to do it is to advertise. Get information out about your channel. Show information. Basically, if anything, you can basically say, go to such and such channel and basically boost awareness about that. If you need the extra boost for people to understand what's really happening, even if you don't have the evidence of yourself, there are other targeted individuals who do have clear enough evidence. Nappy Headed Roots has clear enough evidence of all the shit he's been doing. He's got shit on his channel for years, man, going back for years, especially Brian too. So many TIs who have basically done this, and I want fellow TIs to please migrate your content, save that content, start putting the time into that. But before you even bother doing that, make yourself the anti-nano bucket, because some of you may be aware, some of you may not be aware. What they're gonna do whenever you plan on such a thing, they're gonna use this weapon to basically get you to not do that. That's what they're doing. They're gonna use their fucking weapon so that you won't save that evidence, so that they won't have to be held accountable for what they've done, so they won't be busted, so they won't be caught. I tell you one thing though, these I can guarantee these perps do not give a fuck about kids. They don't, due to the fact of them using kids in their psyop bullshit. You want to know what's sickening about this? The kids have absolutely no idea that this is happening, and I don't think they have at least a small bit of a clue until they get like to a certain age. Half the videos of other TIs who have actually seen, man, it was a family of it was like a small family. These perps made their boy wear a fucking bright red pink shirt just to psyop somebody. You can literally see the look on his face like he was not fucking happy about that shit at all. You think that's bad enough? It gets much, much, much worse. Much worse, dude. Much, much worse. they, and honestly, this should be no surprise. The fact that they're working for this organization that traffics kids, and they have kids exposing them to this corruptive bullshit like that. When they tell people that TIs are the criminals, you need to open your fucking eyes, because TIs are not the criminals here. They're not. If anything, we have been basically psyoped, tortured, and illegally experimented on without consent. All of us have. This includes most likely a person who's not even aware that they're a target individual as well. Jason, I believe your name is Jason Theris. I did share your. If you see this video, I remember the video basically shared about your bucket. I want to give you out a warning, because I looked at your last video the other day, and I noticed the comments that you had one of these perpetrators in your comments. When you see, and I've already left the message, but I don't know if you got it or not, so I'm basically leaving this in this video so you'll be able to know it now. If you see an account of any kind with absolutely no content on it, do not respond to them. And this, now for the people who are not gang stalkers, who are TIs, who have accounts like that, you need to understand this one simple thing. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. When you have a channel that does not show your face, when you have a channel that you're only talking through, when you don't show your face, you're giving off that impression. You need to understand that anybody can just do a video to where they're talking about it, but when you don't show your face, you basically give off that impression. Because really think outside the box on this. Anybody can just basically paste and strip a person's face on an account and then claim that that's them. I mean, it's identity fraud, but I mean, anybody could do that, you know? Anybody could. One thing that these perps do not want you to find at all is channels that basically talk shit about you. They don't want you to find that in it. To any TI, it should be quite obvious as to why. It's because what you can do is basically you can do what I did. I caught someone talking shit about next level, and I basically went straight over there and I started asking them, I mean, if you need proof, I mean, I've got proof on my channel. Nappy Head of Roots has proof. Everybody else has proof. If you need to see some evidence, I can show it to you. You want to know what happened? You want to know what the exact result of that? The dude wasn't even interested in it. He even did a video about me, but the first video I did about him, I never got a response. Not a single one, like none. So it wasn't until I started really finding some very some very telling evidence of a lot of the shit that I've been talking about, that they had decided, that they just so happened to decide. And it wasn't just that, it was also around the time when I had rejected the fact that they had asked me to join them. So it couldn't have just been a coincidence now, could it? So it was also after that the dude decided to make the video. And actually you can look at the timestamps between both those two videos. For the one he made me, made about one of the videos on my channel, and the one I made about his channel. You can see the timestamps, and also the video of where I uploaded to where the agent apparently asked me to join them. I'm not gonna join no disgusting organization like this. I don't give a fuck if you're afraid of being dismantled. I don't give a fuck if you're afraid of being destroyed. The fact that they're doing this is proof that they're desperate. They really need to get rid of TIs, man. I'm telling you. We're like their freaking nightmare. And a lot of TIs don't realize that. We are their fucking nightmare because we are actual victims of their shit. Still alive and well and kicking. We have been bombarded with these frequencies. We have been bombarded. We've had our bodies hijacked. All of this shit that's been happening. We have been poisoned. We have been psyopically stalked. We have shit stolen from us. We have our homes broken into. Families torn apart, all kinds of stuff. And these gang stalkers are just laughing it up like it doesn't matter. I don't think these people the person who does this has never really experienced any type of true relationship in their life. And this goes back to when I was talking about how people hide behind a mask. And honestly, it's just as I said, how can you really love somebody who hides behind a mask, man? You can't. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's quite simple. A person who hides behind a mask is a person who's hiding their original self. So when you date that person, you don't even know who the type of person you're really getting to know, because the person that they're trying to basically say that they are is basically a persona, not an actual person. Just a fake, um, just the sham of a personality, an alternate personality, but not their original personality that they were born with. Let me tell you something, man. I could talk all day, dropping truth bombs, basically, talking about all of this all day. But you gotta every time of when they hack you, every time of when they stop your live stream, every time of when they go on your live streams talking all of that crap, they are bothered by. You think they're not bothered by you talking about the truth? They are bothered because they are secretly they are ashamed of what they're doing. Why do you think they hate people? Why do you think they don't like people bringing it up? Why do you think they always have to have the last word in an argument? Why do you always think? Why do you think that they have to basically complain about every little fucking thing? Knowing they doing dirt, they still gotta complain. You wanna know why they complain? It's a pathetic attempt to convince them that they're right. They know they're wrong, and I could say it 120 times. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're in the wrong. They've done dirt. They fucked up people's lives, and they're gonna eventually have to answer to God for that. They can go ahead and continue working for this organization, but that's their choice to do so. But they need to understand that there's gonna be consequences for that. There's gonna be, you know, and it's either gonna be from the citizens, or it's gonna. I mean, if it ain't from the citizens, it's gonna be from God. And let me tell you something. After this lifetime, they're gonna be in some serious trouble. I tell you that much, man. They're gonna be in some really, really big trouble. I am just beyond grateful, and at the same time, I am beyond saddened, because there are people out there who have already had kids in this generation without even understanding or knowing the true terror that exists out there. You know, I'm grateful because I didn't settle down and have kids in a generation like this that is plagued by so much corruption like this. You know. But like I said, at the same time, I feel bad for those who already have to, because like their children are gonna have to deal with this shit when we're long gone. They're gonna have to deal with this, and that's if this corruption is still around. It's probably most likely gonna be a civil war breaking out. But dude, look, man, the purpose of what you're seeing on the screen is my purpose. Why I'm saying I'm not fighting a civil war. I'm sorry to the people who are trying to fight. Understand, I'm supportive of bringing out truth, but I'm not fighting an actual civil war that brings upon death of any kind. I'm not doing that. If anything, I'm gonna put the truth out there. I'm gonna give the information for people to protect themselves from this bullshit that they have done, to get themselves cured, to get the stuff out of their systems, that basically know all the dangers of what the grid has in store for them, of which they have long since plagued themselves in. But it's not their fault that they plagued themselves with this stuff. It's because of the misinformation. It's because of the information they're not being told. It's because of stuff they're not being informed about. And it's because people who are trying to tell them the truth are being discredited by paid off assholes. They'll swear up and down a person's a criminal, but how can a person really be judged as a criminal when they're basically being mind manipulated? I mean, technically mind control exists, and they can use that to get a person to break the law, right? So who's really guilty in a situation like that? Is it so much as the person who committed the act, or is it the person using the weapons to control the person to commit the act? You see how that works? This is why I want people to be able to free themselves from this bullshit that has plagued us for so long. And keep that in mind. The gang stalkers know this shit, and yet they still choose to work for this organization that does this. They're still fine with working with an organization that does shit like this. So that should basically tell you a lot about where their thought patterns at. They don't give a fuck about nobody but themselves, and that's just the bottom line to it. don't give a fuck, even if they even have the nerve trying to say, I give a fuck about my kids. I don't believe you. Not even for the slightest bit. I don't not fucking believe you because a person, anything coming out of a mouth of a perp is very deceptive, is very scriptive, and I can't believe you because you're amongst the people who are basically poisoning people with this nano dust. I know what this stuff does. I know what it's capable of. So understand, when I say that I can't believe anything come out of your mouth, I'm basically also saying that I'm saying that I can't believe you because you're around people who basically lace this shit on other people to control other people. So how am I not supposed to know that you're also being controlled as well? TIs are well aware of what's happening, but our will is so strong that we're able to fight against this as best as we can. But it doesn't mean that we're not being basically bombarded with these frequencies, with this mind control that's going on. It doesn't change that fact in the slightest. Man, I can only imagine what next year is going to be like, but I guarantee you, if what's going on now, it's not going to be anything pretty. Right now, I'm not concerned about PlayStation 5. I'm not concerned about the new Xbox. I've never been concerned about sports because I never really watched sports. I've never been interested in it. I don't judge the people who watch it, but I do question some of the themes that they had in sports. I mean, no offense, but for the people who didn't know, I mean, they do have the term swag on their magazines. People who like rap music, I'm sorry, but they do have the term swag. And they use the term swag a lot in rap music, which is why I actually abandoned rap music long ago. Not hip hop. Don't confuse rap with hip hop. Rap is the new stuff that's out there now. Hip hop is the old school stuff. Now hip hop, I got nothing against hip hop because that's old school. That's back when things were more peaceful. There was more togetherness in that. People were interested in a rivalry, but it wasn't violent. Like it was basically to see who can one up who, and it was all fun and games with it. It wasn't no arguing bullshit on all this unnecessary beefism that's going on. It wasn't none of that. And that the whole violent thing didn't happen until this gangsterism got involved with hip hop. That's what caused that. That's what popped all of that stuff off. For people who want to know. So don't ever confuse thinking that hip hop was originally created to be violent because it wasn't. It was the corruptive bullshit that invaded it, that basically pushed it out that way. And I actually find this pretty fucking funny. A lot of the women nowadays date guys who listen to half this shit of dudes who sag their pants. And we all know what that means. Yet I do not know what the fuck these women are seeing in these guys. But I guess, us guys are, we would basically be interested in a woman, and a half-naked woman. Of course we would. So I guess a woman would be interested in a half-naked dude. I guess that also makes sense. But here's the thing. There's a difference between that. I don't think a dude sagging his pants is representation for something attractive for a woman. I honestly just don't see it because of, and it's not so much as through attractiveness or through unattractiveness. It's basically through logicness that I'm basically viewpointing this stuff from. And it's simple. When a person does that, I mean, you know what that represents. That means that person is playing for this, the same team. That's what that is. So if a woman sees that, clearly she's gonna know that dude is just not, why would she think that a guy like that would be interested in women? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yet these guys pretend like they're still interested in women like that. Now, understand, a person can do that and they will probably buy doing that. It doesn't mean that they're fully off that way. They're probably playing for both sides. So you also got to keep that in mind. There have been several, and don't think this is because a person's married that has levered them off. Remember the guy, and I couldn't even believe this happened. The dude who played as Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it turns out that he was like that, and I had no fucking idea. I am beyond shocked. I used to fucking love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because I always watched that when I was a kid. That was one of the shows to watch back in it a long time ago. It really was. But starting to see a lot of this shit for what it was. Like there was a lot of deceitfulness within Hollywood, man. Don't think that there's not corruption in Hollywood because there is plenty of it. There's a lot of stuff you're not aware of. And these people are making a lot of money to keep a lot of that shit hidden. But even with that said, I don't really have anything against people who are like that. The only people that I have anything against is the people, and I've stated this before, I know, but the only people I have anything against is people. I don't give a fuck what your sexuality is. I have a very thing against people who would enforce their own sexuality onto somebody else, both physically and verbally. I don't give a fuck even if it's just verbally. I have a strong dislike for people who do shit like that. I mean, if you're into a certain thing, keep that amongst both you and people who are like that. It doesn't fucking matter what your sexuality is. I just keep it off the, I just keep the status quo like that. Me, I've always been interested in women, and that's the way I intend to keep it. I ain't going no other direction other than that. But at the same time, with how much the corruptedness is going on, I don't think that it would be, okay for me to even find, a relationship partner at this time with what's going on. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I will find. Maybe if I just so happen to find a fellow female target individual. I mean, I don't know where that's going to turn out to be, but here's the deal: people are laced with nano. People are being manipulated. People are being controlled. So I wouldn't really stress the situation and go as far as to get a relationship like that because it is a dangerous situation of what we are dealing with. And that's just the honest truth about it, man. Now, if you're already in a relationship, that's fine. Keep that going, keep that going. If you're married, that's fine too. But what I'm basically stating is for people who are like not even in relationships right now. I've heard many different things from many of the different TIs that where like they got in a relationship and they just felt like they were just used in the midst of the relationship, Let me tell you something though. As a guy, if I see a woman who comes at me with the intent to basically use me for financial gain, there's no way I would ever date a woman. I would basically cross her off immediately because I'm gonna know. She doesn't even need to tell me. I'm gonna know. The minute I catch wind of that shit, that's it. I want nothing to do with them after that. Nothing. Not a damn thing. And there's nothing they can say to convince me otherwise because anything, like I stated before, when it comes to a person like that, anything that they have to say is basically scripted and deceitful and manipulative. You can't trust shit like that. Same thing for the women too. They can't trust a guy who's like that. They can't. And I want people to understand, like I get it. Like it's not easy to really find a relationship like that out there, but look, man, we are past the point to where that shit's even important right now, except for the ones who already have that. But right now, like, the most important thing right now is fighting for the next generation so that they don't have to put up with these corruptive assholes. That's what's important. And the title of this meme doesn't lie. What if I told you that no matter how much information you share with your friends about the corrupt government and our liberties disappearing, 97% just won't care until it's too late, and then they will wonder who did they allow. Oh, they will wonder. Hold on, I'm reading this like from the side, so I gotta correct this. Will wonder how did they allow this to happen. Simple. I can tell you exactly how a lot of this happened. People knew certain things. They decided not to talk. They decided not to say anything. They decided not to. And here's the thing: people have been speaking out, and I am grateful for every last one of them. There have been people speaking out, but unfortunately, the large majority just didn't want to listen. They just kept casting off, just buying, drinking the Kool-Aid, saying, "Oh no, this person must be a conspiracy theorist. It must be just nuts or anything like that." What they are telling you is basically something that's going to save your life, but you were conditioned to basically see it in an under disbelief. You see, they conditioned you to never question your reality of things. And that's the biggest problem you got. A lot of these people who are asleep have. They have been conditioned to never question their reality. It's because they don't question their reality that they remain asleep. Because they remain asleep, they remain blind from what's happening around them. They can't see it because their third eye is closed. Why do you think they put that fluoride in their drinking, the faucet water? And yet you see people bathing in it, you see people drinking it, you see people brushing their teeth with it. They don't tell you that the dangers of toothpaste though. About the warning labels on the back of that, how children up to a certain age, and this is very young too. Because I've seen people like teach they have their kids as young as 3 and 4 brush their teeth, but little do they know that it's extremely dangerous for a child to basically swallow any toothpaste. Think about it, man. Between 3 and 4, kids don't really have that huge control over their motor functions yet. They have some control, but not that dominant control that they get when they hit like age 7 and up. And what I mean by this is, they make it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't make the shit like in a point to where like it looks, and tastes good to swallow. And what I mean by this, I'm talking about that candy based toothpaste. Did they tell them about that? No. So if kids are not supposed to be swallowing this shit, why would they make toothpaste look like candy? Why would they make it taste like candy? Why? Because they want them to swallow their shit, knowing the full well what it does. Why did they put subliminal messaging into their televisions if they cared about kids? Why did they do this shit? Why does Disney do this shit? And people still tune into Disney, by the way. They still let their kids watch that shit, even though there's been a lot of perverted messaging through there, even though there's been a lot of subliminal messaging through there, a lot of Illuminati symbolism, not just with Disney, but with Nickelodeon too. SpongeBob did it, and you still got people still watching SpongeBob and shit like that. I get it. I was a kid once too. I love cartoons just as well, man. When I was young, I used to fucking watch Cow and Chicken. I used to fucking watch the Johnny Bravo and all that shit. I used to watch a lot of that stuff, even Ed, Edd n Eddy. All of that stuff I used to watch as a kid. But now when I start looking back at it as an adult, I'm starting to notice that like there's some sinister shit by this shit. Sure, the sexual innuendos within them were funny. I'll admit that. But at the same time, when it's a show being portrayed off for kids, that's when it lies a problem. Because if they're doing this with this type of programming at this day and age, what are they doing with today's programming? You think I'm not kidding around? Did you remember what Nickelodeon did with the I Can't Breathe shit for about 8 minutes? It's crazy, man. Now then, I did a little bit of examination for both the Thunderblade, or should I say the Taser Blade, and the Taser Glove, and I think I pretty much figured out how I'm going to make this work. The main issue, as I stated before, was the trigger mechanism, but I think I found a perfect spot for it to where this can work. And I have pretty good controls over it as well. So, unfortunately, I will not be able to finish that today, but tomorrow that whole thing will change. So just be mindful. You guys are basically going to see both the Taser Blade and the Taser Glove first thing tomorrow. But it won't be like early in the morning. It won't be in the afternoon. It may not be until like later at night when I'm actually finished with it that you'll see it. Anyway, stay safe, stay strong, everybody. And please continue doing what you're doing best by waking as many people up as you can. Because if we don't, I don't know who will.